Okay, hello ESL 42 students. I am now looking at the reading book you should have already completed. If you haven't finished the reading work, please do that before you watch the video. This is to help you learn and succeed on the test, so obviously I know you could just sit home and listen to me give you the answers and write them down, but that doesn't serve you and it certainly doesn't help you with the test material. So please, make sure you've done this before you watch the video. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is give you the answers to these mastery tests that I've asked you to complete, review tests and mastery tests. First argument, and that's going to be on page 393. And the first section of this mastery test gives you a point, and then it asks you which of the support statements support that point. So of course, like always, reading and thinking go together. Here the point says, we should spend more of our tax dollars on mass transit systems such as subways, commuter rail lines, and buses. And then we have to ask ourselves which of those support statements would give support to that statement. And the first one is A. Our streets and roadways are becoming choked with traffic. That would be a good reason for mass transit. C. Mass transit systems don't pollute nearly as much as automobiles. That is a reason to develop mass transit. And F. If more people took mass transit to work, we would reduce our dependence on foreign oil. We can see that A, C as in cat, and F all support the statement that we should spend more on mass transit. Okay, next thing is the 4 through 6 point. College students are particularly vulnerable to alcohol-related problems. So which statements support that? The first one is C. Many university customs and traditions encourage dangerous practice of alcohol use, unfortunately. D. Alcohol use increases college students' already high risk for suicide, automobile accidents, and falls. And finally, F. University campuses are heavily targeted by advertising and promotions from the alcohol beverage industry. Each of those, C as in cat, D as in dog, and F, support the statement that college students are at risk of alcohol problems. If you'll turn the page on 394 at the top, 7 through 9, the point is Americans should cut down on their consumption of bottled water. Then the correct answers are A, C, and E. A says studies indicate that tap water in most communities is perfectly fit to drink. That argues for using tap water instead of bottled water. C says discarded water bottles are contributing to our growing trash problem. That's also in support of cutting down on bottled water. And then of course finally E, bottled water must be transported by truck to stores and vending machines, thus contributing to air pollution. So here we can see pretty good reasons, 3 pretty good reasons why we should reduce or cut down the consumption of bottled water. Alright, the last one reverses things a little bit. You're familiar with this probably from our earlier practices. Here they're giving you 4 statements of support. And then they're asking you to figure out from that support what the main idea would be, or what is the main point of those support statements. And so in 10, the correct answer is D. Music is useful in the treatment for physical and emotional ailments. So we see that the support statements are all about either physical or emotional problems that music can help with. The first one, music is often quite effective in helping emotionally disturbed children communicate. Music can help relieve anxiety in patients that undergo surgery. Those are 2 mental aspects. And the last one, music can help relieve persistent arthritis pain. So here we see D, music is useful for physical arthritis, which is a pain in the joints, if you don't know that, and emotional problems, which is anxiety and emotionally disturbed children. Okay. That takes care of your answers for Mastery Test 4 on argument. And if you have any questions about this, please ask them in class when we return. The next assignments that I ask you to do are on page 420. I ask you to do Review Test 2. And please keep in mind, all I'm going to ask you from this chapter on critical reading is to be able to identify facts and opinions. And these review tests will give you some practice with that. So let's take a look. Number 1 on page 420 is opinion. And we see that because we have the value word best. Not everyone would think that that particular exercise is best. Remember that just because many people think something doesn't make it a fact. It's still an opinion, even though we know that it is probably good for a healthy heart to walk. This says it's the best. Well, there are other things that might be good for your heart, like eating healthy or running. So maybe this isn't necessarily the best. Oh, adjectives like best, worst, these are all value words that indicate an opinion. The next word, the heart pumps slightly more than a gallon of blood per minute through approximately 60,000 miles of blood vessels in the body. And remember, we generally trust these kinds of figures. So here we say that is a fact. Don't worry if it's not approximately 60,000. You have to trust the textbook on that. They're only asking, remember, if you can check something, it's a fact. So we could check this. Don't be distracted by, oh, well, it might not have 60,000 miles or whatever. We don't question those kinds of facts. All we ask ourselves is, can we check it? So please keep that in mind during any testing. 3, more Bibles have been printed than any other book in history. That, again, is a fact. Don't worry if it's true or false. Just ask yourself, could I check it? And if the answer is that you could check it, then it is a fact. The next one, the Roman Catholic concept of God is more correct than the Protestant or Jewish. Well, obviously, that's an opinion. 5, butterflies are the most beautiful. Well, that's an opinion. There could be other beautiful bugs. 6 is interesting. It says the most amazing thing about butterflies is that their taste sensors are located on their feet, so that by standing on food, they can taste it. Well, that is both a fact and opinion. We could check to see if butterflies can taste with their feet, but it's an opinion that it is the most amazing thing about them. There could be other amazing things. 7, so that's fact and opinion for 6. 7, falling coconuts kill about 150 people worldwide each year, and sharks kill about 10 people. Okay, so according to this, you're more at danger of standing under a coconut tree than going swimming with sharks, but that is in fact a fact, because we could check and find out how many people are killed by coconuts and how many people are killed by sharks. We can check it, it's a fact. Remember, just because something is interesting doesn't mean it's not a fact. There are many interesting facts in the world. 8, the greatest danger in swimming in the ocean is of being attacked by a shark. That is obviously opinion. The greatest, that's an adjective that's subject to opinion. Other people might think the greatest danger would be drowning, right? So obviously there are other things dangerous in the ocean as well. 9 is a fact. At the beginning of the 20th century, only 1 of 10 married women held a paying job. We could go back in our sociology and history books and find out how many women were employed at that time. We can check it, it's a fact. And then 10, for self-fulfillment, mothers in today's world should hold down an outside job as well as care for their children. That's opinion, that word should. That indicates that maybe everybody would not believe that statement, and since everyone wouldn't agree, clearly that's an opinion. Okay, the next thing that I ask you to do are Mastery Tests 1 and 2 in this chapter. And so would you please make sure that you've completed this, of course, and turn to page 429. Double check that. Okay. Yeah, 429. I ask you to do Mastery Tests 1 and 2, and I'm simply going to run through these. And if you have any questions about why, I'd like you to ask those in the classroom. So looking at page 429, Mastery Test 1 on fact and opinion. Number 1 is an opinion. Too much coverage. Some people would not agree to that, so it's an opinion. Okay. Number 2 is a fact, and this fact can be confirmed by looking at statistics on where people get their news. So they're just giving you a fact about where people find their news. 3, we have that those words should be, high school students should be, and of course should is generally understood to be a suggestion and therefore an opinion. Everyone might not agree that a foreign language is important. 4 is a fact. Although it is now considered a dead language, Latin was the language of the Roman Empire and later the Roman Catholic Church. Easy internet search to find that out. That is a fact. Number 5 is also a fact. Again, we can always check the history books about historical things, and we can find out that that is in fact true. Okay, When we look at 6, however, they're also talking about presidents, above average presidents. Well, if you're in the other political party, you might not agree with that. Okay, so the fact of above average would be in a value judgment in this case because they're comparing it to all the other presidents. Don't be fooled by above average. Averages can in fact be checked scientifically, but this is really not about averaging all presidents. This is making a judgment about the presidents being better than the other presidents. That's what we mean by above average here, in case that was confusing. Okay, the 7th one is a fact. It can be confirmed by analyzing the core of a pencil. So that's an easy fact to check. The next one, we see the word better in number 8, and of course better is generally considered an opinion word or a value word, and people might argue with you about what's better, and there's no facts, so that is an opinion. Okay, 9, this is a fact. It says we can research laws on child labor in the late 1800s. Again, don't worry about how difficult it would be to check. Just ask yourself, if I worked hard enough, could I go back in history books and find that? And if you could, it's a fact. The last one has both fact and opinion because we could check to see if 5-year-olds were working 16-hour days. That would be a fact. The fact that it's outrageous, most of us would agree with that, but it isn't a fact. Some people, and remember, even if you find one person that thinks something is okay, then that means it's part opinion. So in this case, 10 is both a fact and an opinion. All right. I ask you to continue on the next page. We're going to go up to 432. So on page 430, 11 is opinion because of the word easier. That's a value word. 12 is a fact because we can research the story of the cat falling off the building. 13 is opinion, most significant opinion. Well, maybe the car was the most significant invention, but some other people might argue a computer or something else was more significant. That's opinion. 14 is a fact. We can check the price of cars in 1924. 15 is also a fact. We could check the biographical information for Bessie Smith and find out if she was killed in a car accident. In 16, we have that word better, and better indicates it's a value judgment. If somebody might think that no one was better, but others could have a different opinion. 17 on page 430 is a fact. We can simply check the history books of women's bathing suits. 18 is fact and opinion. It's a fact because it was invented by a man. We could look that up. It was ridiculous looking. Well, that's a matter of opinion. Some people might think it wasn't ridiculous looking. So this is both fact and opinion. 19 is a fact. We can verify it by historical research, as many of these can be checked. So once again, if you can look it up and check it, it's a fact. And then 20 is opinion. Don't be fooled by only a man could have invented something quite so impractical for women. Well, that's simply a matter of opinion. Maybe a woman could come up with something just as uncomfortable or impractical. All right. The last mastery test I ask you to do is the next one on page 431, Mastery Test 2. Again, this is fact and opinion, and it's all I'm asking you to be responsible for in this chapter. So, number 1 is a fact. It can be verified by scientific writings. Number 2, strangest creature. Well, strangest is an opinion word. Other people might find other animals stranger. So, if we can't agree, we know that's opinion. 3, comic strips are never suitable for reading to young children. That is an opinion. Other people might think they're suitable for reading. In fact, I do. So, that's obviously an opinion. 4 is a fact. We can check it in historical information about comic strips. 5 is also a fact. We can confirm by looking at recipes for sushi. 6 is opinion. Delicious taste. Everybody's not going to think it's delicious. That's opinion. 7, also opinion. Too much concerned about material success. A lot of people do agree with that statement, but remember, just because a lot of people think something, that does not make it a fact. This is an example of opinion. Okay, 8 is a fact. We can look at statistics and confirm them by reading the studies that they mention. So 8 is a fact. 9 is fact and opinion. Consumers pay out millions of dollars. That's a fact. The dollars should go to worthy projects such as health research and housing. That is opinion. Fact and opinion for 9. And finally, 10 is opinion, less selfish and contribute to more to the community. That is an opinion. Other people might feel differently. Continuing on the next page, 11 is an opinion. Some people would argue that other medical achievements, such as the eradication of smallpox, were more important. So again, most important. Again, we have to ask ourselves, would everyone agree on what's most important? No, that's opinion. 12 is a fact, can be confirmed with medical literature, and 13 is also a fact. That can be confirmed by history books. 14 is fact and opinion, because it says the Middle Ages was the worst time to be alive. People could argue that other times were worse. Bubonic plague killed millions of people. We can check the history books and know that that's a fact. So we have fact and opinion for 14. 15 is a fact. We can confirm it by researching the Middle Ages. 16 is also a fact. We can confirm that by researching the history of San Francisco and also the geological information. 16 is fact. 17 obviously is opinion. Stunning location, magnificent architecture, most beautiful city. These are all opinion words. People are going to argue. That's opinion. All right, 18 is F, because we could check Stoker's Dracula and find out about that. 19, also a fact. We could check it. Finally, 20, the reader will find it nearly impossible to stop reading. Most enjoyable, scary. All right, these are all value words, so 20 is opinion. So that concludes my review of these mastery tests. If any of you have any questions about the reading mastery test, please make sure and ask them when we come to class next time. I am not going to do a novel video for this week, so I want you simply to focus on finishing up till page 158 in Fahrenheit 451. We'll discuss that more at a later time, but that is all we're going to have for homework, just vocabulary, finish that, and the reading that I just reviewed, make sure those are done and that you understand them. Also, I ask you to do some Townsend Press exercises, and now that you told me that the Townsend Press mastery tests sometimes are copies of the book, thank you for letting me know. You should have let me know sooner. I did make some adjustments, so from now, for the rest of the few exercises we have, I'll make certain that I check to make sure they're not the same thing. I apologize for not knowing that. Who knew? Okay, that concludes our reading video. I will make sure that these are posted. Enjoy your week, and I will see you next class.